I mean, eternal supremacy. I would just like the
We
record
love
to
to see it.
show. We love to see it. I would just like the record to show that Josie predicted the trailer dropping that Monday.
I was like,
She-
this trailer's gonna drop in 3 minutes.
So
And it did.
basically, Josie's one with the universe, and the universe said, "You are finally going to receive." So,
I'm one with Eternals.
hey everyone, welcome to Film Talk. I'm Ileana Melendez, head of marketing and a critic here at FullCircleCinema.com, and I'm joined here today by my lovely co-host, as always, Josie Melendez,
Hi.
resident Eternal Supremacy stan. Who is? May I share? Or would you like to share the little announcement related to Eternals?
Well, at the end of this month, I'm going to be launching Madden Raving, a podcast where we explore Richard Madden's filmography, ranging from stage work, podcasts, films, TV shows, etc., all for the summer. And it's going to premiere at the end of Pride Month, so we're ending it with a bang.
Absolutely. And stay tuned. Where will this be premiering, Miss Josie? Because we're going to promote the shit out of it.
Yes, so it should be available on all streaming platforms wherever you listen to podcasts, the same way that it would be like with Film Talk and Film Posers.
Amen to that. And, yours truly might be, making a couple little cameos on there. So be sure. A couple. So be sure to check that out when it's up. And we, of course, will share all the links down below. So let's get into it. We've talked about Eternals. We've talked about Madden Raving. Let's get to the actual point of today's episode, which is talking about a masterclass of sequels as Miss Katie, also on our critics team, so wonderfully wrote in her written review of A Quiet Place Part 2. Link is down below. Honestly, we're going to start with going, how we usually do, but I'm trying to structure it a little bit. We're going to try to avoid spoilers a little bit in the first few minutes of our review and then dive into it. But if you are a fan of the first one and you had concerns about the second one just not really replicating that magic from the first one, don't worry. Highly recommend. He did it, y'all. Krasinski did it. So, Josie, would you like to kick us off with your thoughts on A Quiet Place Part 2?
Yes. So I really enjoyed it. There have been a few people that haven't, and I will say there are more people that have enjoyed it versus the people that did not. I personally really liked it. I thought it was a good way to study setting up and paying off details in a film, raising stakes. I think if you really want to make movies specifically, it's a good film to study those elements. Other than that, as a film, it was entertaining. I was always at the edge of my seat. I was screaming. I was gasping. I was hiding. So, yeah, it's a good film, especially performances are really good. I do see, when you think about it, a lot of people have been complaining that there isn't a third act. I can see that criticism, but I didn't mind it. It feels like they're setting up it feels like each movie is an act in of itself, which is weird, but at the same time it works for me. I don't mind it, but we can get into that later. Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah, then going off on what Josie mentioned, quick preface, we were able to see this in the theater, fully vaxxed up, hot girl summer, safely socially distanced. Definitely, I had the chance. I saw it twice this weekend, and I had the chance to see it in IMAX. If you have the chance to see it in IMAX at your local IMAX or some sort of premium format, this is a movie to watch because it's really of course, as the first one, sound design, marvelous.
Yes, and the score.
I love the score. I've seen some criticism on the use of music in these films. I personally don't mind it. I found it to be well put. It was very well placed, in my opinion. So yeah, just the sound design and the score all together with like cinematography. Not just cinematography, no, cinematography.
They really said auteur with
Yeah,
this film.
they really did. They were like, we're not gonna
There were
give
some
him a
good
movie.
shots.
There's
Yeah.
shots, okay? There's shots. It's just
Also,
cinema.
this
Go.
is one of the few films that we've reviewed that we saw together. Other
That's
than Wonder Woman.
true. Yeah, we saw Wonder Woman together, like Wonder Woman 1984, and then this is the second
Mm-hmm.
film we actually see together. And this is the first one we see at a theater together.
And it was literally the both of us just going like, that's
Yeah,
a
just
shot.
just shots. I'm like, okay, I see, okay. And then Miss Screenwriter over here is like, ooh, there's tension here. This means that this is gonna happen. I'm not gonna get to spoilers,
Yeah.
but it wasn't like the movie can
Which,
be. It's so much
yeah, which
happening.
by the way, yeah, because people are saying that it's predictable. And I don't think it's predictable. I just think it's written well. I'm not going to say it's the best thing written ever. But if you're able to see what's going to happen next, it's because there has been an appropriate setup and you have been paying attention. So that just means you're watching the film and you're picking up on things.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't go and call it predictable for the sake of like calling it a negative.
Yeah, it's not so much predictable. It's just simple writing that's used effectively. There's so much foreshadowing. There's a lot of really good setup, and there's a lot of time and care put into the characters here. And what I really, really want to touch on for those who, because I feel like the main apprehension towards the sequel, which I felt when the sequel was announced, was that they're gonna go too big too fast. They're gonna try to, add a bunch of new characters and try to do like this whole thing, and then it's something that you could easily fall into a lot of tropes with, very much dystopian alien invasion, zombie invasion tropes that it could have honestly done, and yet it tends to subvert those tropes really effectively. And the way that John Krasinski was able to build the world further, like the world building here is it still maintains its subtleties.
It's subtle.
It's very, very subtle.
Yeah.
It's doesn't go too fast. I thought the pacing was really good. It's a very tight film. It's 90 minutes, and it doesn't really feel like it you really, really get into it, and I didn't feel it was too short. I didn't feel it was too long. Wasn't like, oh, when's it gonna be over?
I yeah. It was an appropriate length. It does what it has to do. It gives you more without giving too much, and it's also not, you are left wanting more, but it's not that they're not giving you enough information. It's just enough to get you through the film, and everything else you can leave it to speculation, and maybe we will get a sequel. There is a third film in the talks, but that's a whole nother issue. Whether we're gonna get a continuation of where we left off, we don't know yet, but I would love to see it. I would love if if we do get another film, I only want it to be a trilogy. Just leave it at the third one.
Yeah, because it's definitely the way that it ends. No spoilers yet, but the way that it ends definitely feels like there is like that one final piece to complete the puzzle. Even though I would be completely satisfied if it ended there, because you can kind of fill in the blanks pretty easily with the story,
which is how it was with the first one.
It's just, honestly, I find it so impressive that such a simple story and a simple script is so effective, and it stands on its own so well and so satisfactory. So it's, that wasn't the conjugation there anyway, but you get it. So it really, A Quiet Place could have, and still to this day stands alone as a very perfectly good, well-made film with a sort of open ending that you can kind of fill in the blanks. Okay, cool. Very nice conclusion. This one picks up right where we left off with the first film. And, I mean, well, there is a cold open. There's basically a cold open, and then it picks up. Beautiful. Also, John Krasinski said transitions, cinematic parallels. We're gonna get into that, but wow, it's just everything was just so pleasing to the eye and to the ear. Like everything just felt really, really nice, and it was kind of the perfect movie to return to the theaters for. So if you are, yeah,
Yes.
it's literally that immersive cinematic experience that you go to the movies for. It's that movie magic basically that you pay your overpriced popcorn for and sit down
Yeah.
at the theater and see it on the big screen. It's honestly, I have to respect Krasinski saving this movie's release for when it was safe to return to the theaters, which is happening at an incremental scale. But if you have the chance to do it, I think it's really worth it. And I really respect the patience that he had with it, because I have to agree, it is worth seeing it at the theater. I really couldn't imagine watching this in my home. It would have been great, but
Yeah.
it just doesn't hit the same. It really doesn't. So, highly recommend if you can go see it. It's definitely, it holds up. Another concern that I saw kind of floating around is if there was more dialogue, like verbal spoken dialogue, which is something that set the first film apart, that it was very literally quiet and everything,
Yeah.
and I hate when people say, oh, it's just, I love that it didn't have any dialogue. People speak. ASL is still a language, and they were still having a dialogue.
There is dialogue.
There is a lot of dialogue. It's just, it wasn't like spoken dialogue per se. But there is, for those of you who have that concern, there is like a small increment of spoken dialogue here, but it's justified and it works well, and it doesn't take away from like those intimate moments where the tensions are high, they can't talk, they're signing to each other, their conversations, and it doesn't feel repetitive. It replicates the magic and the tension and the thrill and the suspense of the first film without really just kind of going copy paste with the formula. It uses its formula very well, to the point that it still feels fresh. And I mean, clenched. We were clenched in our seats. It's one of those movies. It really, it works. It really works.
It's very suspenseful.
Extremely suspenseful. Like I've mentioned before, I love a good quiet horror. Like quiet horror, quiet suspense. It's just almost, it's more unsettling than really loud jump scares. So when you do get jump scares here, they're so simple, yet they hit that much harder because it's been so quiet for like the whole scene. So it works. I have to say, not to be, a stan, not to overhype it, but believe the hype. It's good. Go watch it.
It is, and it's worth it. It's worth your money if you want to go. It's worth the seat. It's worth the popcorn, and I think that's all for our spoiler-free section.
Yeah, and if you are someone who doesn't really like horror, this is definitely like good gateway horror, because it's not that scary per se. It's just suspenseful and
it's just
really interesting.
It's a thriller.
And I like that there was added lore ish. There is added lore without giving away too much, and getting into spoilers here a little bit. If you haven't seen it, go watch it and then come back. Spoiler review happening right now. So, I really like how all the information that we know about this world, about this universe, about these monsters, we only know as much as the protagonists. And I kind of like that.
Yeah.
Though it did frustrate me a little bit when I first saw the movie. I was like, I want to know what happened, why they're here, yada yada. But then at the end of the day, does it matter? We're here for that suspense.
Yeah. We know as much as they know, which is that aliens fell, and then they attacked super quickly, and humanity was lost almost instantly. Not instantly, but almost.
Pretty much.
You get, because it was fast. It was pretty fast the way that all hope was lost, and they had to resort to where we see them in the first film. So, like in a year.
Yeah,
it's a whole new world.
Yeah, almost
and that's
2
crazy.
years, a year and a half-ish, which I thought, for some reason, I don't know why, I should have rewatched the first one before watching the second one, but I still remembered most of it. For some reason, I thought more time had passed since day one, and it had literally, humanity fell in just a year. So that's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And that also goes to show how super rapid fast these creatures are, and that's what really also makes them super interesting and scary at the same time.
And they're everywhere.
They're like little roaches, and they're so hard to kill that there are people that literally had never even seen one dead. Like, it's that intense.
Yeah.
So I think what really helps, again, these are really simple elements, but it's kind of it feels very original, because where have you seen, comment below if you know, and it'd be like, oh, well, I've seen it here. Tell us respectfully. But I haven't seen a creature where the stakes are so high you can't even speak because it'll hear you from, like, a crap load of miles away. So
yeah, I haven't, well, I don't know about miles, but I haven't seen 28 Days Later, which has Cillian Murphy, which is...
Pause. Okay, post-editing Ileana here. Josie and I both pronounce the famous actor Cillian Murphy, known for Peaky Blinders, amongst other great films and television series. We pronounced his name as Cillian Murphy throughout the whole episode, and were posthumously informed that it is not pronounced Cillian Murphy, it is pronounced Cillian Murphy. So bear that in mind, laugh along with us as we butcher his name unknowingly. Enjoy the show.
Is a perfect segue, but I started watching it a bit, and the zombie infection literally happens like 28 days later. That's title, haha, Leonardo DiCaprio pointing meme. After 28 days, humanity has fallen, and Cillian Murphy's character wakes up. I only saw the beginning, so this is why I'm counting this. But Cillian Murphy's character wakes up, and he's walking around, and it's empty, desolate. There are no people. Society has fallen after 28 days. So that's this kind of vibe I get from A Quiet Place.
For sure, yeah. I'm pretty sure I've seen 28 Days Later, but I saw it at way too young of an age. I was watching movies that I really should not have been watching in that time. I was way too young.
Oh,
yeah, we were really young.
My favorite movie as a youngin' was Titanic.
I had that shit on freaking VHS, the 2-part VHS.
Yeah, the two.
All I remember is that Draw Me Like One of Your French Girl scene was always blue because my mom was fast forwarding that shit.
No, I lived that scene. I didn't know what was going on, but I was living it. I was like, as a child.
This is cinema.
This is cinema.
You get the point.
With my juice box.
Your little Capri Sun, like, yes, he's drawing her like one of these French girls.
This
okay.
is cinema.
But Cillian Murphy.
Yeah, Cillian Murphy. I think I gave it 5 stars. I would have given it 4, but I gave it 5 stars because of Cillian Murphy.
He very much gave stinky, rugged, yet somehow attractive white man vibes.
Don't call me out.
Benedict Cumberbatch walked so Cillian Murphy could run.
Oh my gosh. But, okay, getting into Cillian Murphy, I really enjoyed him in the film, because going from losing Krasinski as a character in the first one, you can tell that they did want to fill the space up with a prominent male figure, just to have someone like that in the film. And I think he was a good addition and a good replacement for that role in the film, as well as in these characters' lives. And he was very helpful. He worked really well with every scene partner he had. I can't stop speaking so highly about him in this film, because I haven't seen him in that many things, even though he is in a lot of things, but I've never paid attention. This is the first time I paid attention to something that he did, because I don't know how to explain it.
He really stood out.
He just worked really well.
He kind of had his
out.
own moment, because usually when he's like in a load of things, but he's always kind of overcrowded by the powerhouse talent.
He's really good at blending in.
He blends in very well. And I'm not saying he's not a powerhouse talent, but he's usually in like these big scale, like big name films.
Because he's just, it comes so natural to him that he can be in a corner and it's like, yeah, he's acting, he's good, that's it. But this one, it was like, English is failing me, so era bien llamativo. Like, just especially when he was the Last of Us scenes, which is what
Absolutely.
we're calling them, when he was alone with Millicent. Just the dynamic, and they bounced off really well off each other, and just the way his character developed, because I mean, we're talking about a man that was living by himself, all hopeless, with his his dead wife's corpse at the top of like where he was staying, which Marcus then finds, and yeah, this is a man with issues. And it was interesting to see his evolution as a character throughout the film, and then Emily Blunt was pushed aside in this film a bit.
I think it was justified, though. I really enjoy how Emily Blunt took a step back and let Millicent Simmonds really come into her own as an actress, especially, and for the character, Regan really just, the loss of her father and that father figure and wanting to continue the work that he started really, really helped her grow so much as a character, and she is absolutely lady material. Like, I really, really enjoyed her performance. I thought it was incredible. It was so, I loved how, though the world is expanded quite a bit, in comparison with the first one, because the first one was very tight. We really just stayed, it was either a couple shots in the town and the pharmacy, maybe a little bit on the bridge, and that scene, and then it's mostly just at their farm, and that's it. And then in this one, we're traveling a little bit further out, and we have more locations. We got secondary locations here. And despite all of those elements coming into play, it still felt very intimate. It still felt free.
It didn't feel overwhelming because we focused on only 2 characters. It would have been different if we would have continued to add characters, but the fact that they kept it so contained, even though we are expanding on a geographical scale, since you only have those 2 characters traveling, it helped a lot. And then, of course, we are in spoiler territory when they find out that, like, we have the dock people, which I refuse to believe we're going into a zombie narrative, because I think that would cheapen the story. And then we have the people on the island that have been living at peace with sound. Sound is a privilege
now. And the people on that island off the coast of New York, we find out. I don't remember us finding out that they were in New York the whole time. But finding that out and seeing how, not only that, we got some lore. Their weakness is water, which makes so much sense that they can't swim, because they're literally just like, they're like cockroaches. They're like a shell, like an exoskeleton shell of armor that opens up with their huge eardrums that can hear sounds. But as soon as they go into the water, that all goes away, and they basically drown. It's like, oh, okay, so there's a way around this, and there's a way to live like this. And the the little tidbits of lore, we'll call it, of what happened, how these people got there into this island, that was very much, basically like them living as normally as possible without fear of these monsters, because they can't get there because of the water.
Yeah. Who was it in the We Have a Quiet Place spoiler chat? Here,
as we do with most
cinema.
movies.
Who was it that was saying, was it Jacob Mouchery that was saying that they would go into the middle of the water and start banging at drums or something to get them all to... That imagery stayed in my head.
Lives
I can just imagine someone
free.
in the middle of the water. Like on a small
with the
boat.
pot in the pan, just like, hey, come get it, soup's on.
Yeah. Yes, and a bunch like far away from the shore, and all of them just running.
Yeah, they do have a certain sense of self-preservation, because like they'll jump into the water out of instinct to get the thing, which they'll like climb onto the boats and try to save themselves, which I just want to mention. I don't know if you've noticed, but they just kill people. They don't eat people. They just
I really want to know what's their
they
their
just
deal?
Literally just
what's up?
Whack. You make too much noise. Is it that? Is it like the noise that humans make is just so unbearable for them?
We are noisy. I mean, who was it? Was it you, or was it
Gabriela
Gabriela
posers
that said that Gabriela from the Film Posters, my co-host, said that if the aliens from A Quiet Place fell in Puerto Rico, everyone would die in a day because
it was
we're
her.
so loud.
And then because I said, oh, if being on an island means you're a survivor, Puerto Rico's vibing. And then Gabriela went dark. But yeah, I mean, if they don't, yeah,
we're fine as long as they only fall in the continental US.
But we know that they also fell in China, so they probably, it was like, a whole thing where they fell all over the earth. But if they,
I forgot about that. Oh my god,
it was all over. Yeah, buddy. Yeah,
I think we're good.
Because if it's just on the continents,
the aliens from El Yunque will defend us.
But yeah, we're really loud, so Puerto Ricans are really super loud. But so we would just be done for in like 2 seconds. But if they don't land on the island, I don't want to push over my monkey. If anyone noticed, I got in honor of Godzilla versus Kong. I got a little King Kong and a little Godzilla, little Funkos. I'm keeping the sim.
Yeah, but speaking of. It was very, I mean, you knew it had to happen, but the fact, it was just still, because they finally got an island, and then Cillian Murphy's character is just walking around. I love how I'm just like Cillian Murphy. I don't remember his name, and I
Emmett.
don't have to.
His character's name was Emmett.
Murphy.
Just so you
know. Emmett found the boat. And we all knew. Knew.
Everything was going to go downhill.
That we were done. And then he started running, and I was like, oh, yeah, we're going to die. And then all hell broke loose, and then the movie ends.
Yeah, it was really interesting. Like, basically, the third act is them arriving to that island, and then having that ending where you find, Regan finally gets to broadcast that certain frequency from her hearing aid, and the levels to this. There's layers to this, because not only was she able to kill the little monster that was in the radio station on the island, she was able to broadcast it so anybody with a radio in that vicinity would be able to defend themselves against these things. So it was like that, that one step further into defeating the evil that has plagued the earth. And I just think that's so interesting, because this movie is also a masterclass of showing and not telling. And it's just so effective. And it's really, really, really good. And another thing that I wanted to mention was, honestly, have John Krasinski direct an episode of The Last of Us, coming soon to HBO Max, because the dynamic between Cillian Murphy's character Emmett and Millicent Simmonds' character Regan, it was very much like kind of an Ellie and Joel dynamic without being a copycat. Yeah. But it was really good. It was really, really well done. And I felt like I immediately felt those vibes. It's like, this is what I want to see when I see The Last of Us premiere finally. And I'm very excited for that, because it's such a good story. But
yeah, another thing that I think we can end it on this, depending on where it takes us, because we do ramble with reason. But I will say the only thing at the top of my head, because I would have to rewatch it to find more flaws, if there are any, in my opinion. But for now, I do have one flaw that I cannot get over, which is very annoying, and the fact that you have two token black characters and you kill both of them.
Yep. That was not good.
And it has to be mentioned because do better. Hopefully we do get a third installment that follows the storyline the way that we have done between the first and the second. More people of color, and don't kill them off after like 1 minute and 35 seconds of screen
literally
time.
or less. Yeah, because not only that, like, okay, you could almost forgive the first one dying because he sacrificed himself to defend. It was day one of, invasion. And it was a really, really good transition of utilizing the shotgun to kill these things, and then having it transition to Emily Blunt's character using the shotgun to kill that thing at the end of the first film. So that transition, chef's kiss. Okay, fine. I can almost forgive that. Okay, really good black actor. You just killed him off that quickly, but it was okay, good transition. You really didn't have to kill the second one. There was truly not a damn reason you had to do that.
I'd like to hope that he's still alive. Because we didn't see him die. He just disappeared.
A claw on his
and he
back.
seems very capable.
Through his... He's been impaled, Josie.
I don't remember. I didn't know it was his back. I thought it was just his leg.
He was impaled on IMAX too. Let me tell you.
Fine. In that case, he's dead. But that would have been so sad because I would have loved to have seen him.
He would have been a really good addition to a third film, and like that, you know, yeah. If you are gonna have a third film and you're gonna add to that duo of Regan and Emmett. He could have added this character who I don't even remember if we learned his name. He didn't have a name. He was like a nameless token black man, which sucks. And so, yeah. The man not only was nameless, who, I mean, I just found his name. He's been in a lot of films. Digimon Hansu, forgive me if I'm not pronouncing that correctly, but his name... his name
on Island.
On the cast is Man on Island. And I had jokingly said, oh, if it's Island Man, I'm going to be pissed. Guess what? I'm pissed. Do better. Because they really just, you know, it was basically a whiteout of a film. It was a beautiful film, and I think it's really well done. Like, we have clearly gone off on how good it is, but it is still a very, very much exclusively white film with 2 token black characters.
I mean, remember when we got to the island... And the first thing I said was like, I swear, if it's an island of only white people or something
it felt very Hamptons.
White people. And I know that Gabriela knew both. Yeah, Gabriela knew both. Mm-hmm. Of course it's just going to be
And then we were proven wrong. It's like, ooh, there's a token. A token that didn't last, like you said, a minute and 35 seconds. Though the monster, the creature, whatever, the roach... did its thing and it attacked. I don't think it took that many people with it. They acted pretty quickly. So I'm pretty sure the island community is relatively okay.
Because it was only one.
Exactly.
And they lured it out of the main area, the main camping ground.
Yeah.
So most likely there are people still alive.
Yeah, and good amount left.
It whacked a good amount of people.
It
but
did.
I'm pretty sure there were a lot of people on the island.
Yeah, easily over 100, or at least at least 50. That was a very wide range for me to say. Yeah, it's a big ass island, and you had all those houses where you can easily have up to between 50 and 100 people living there comfortably, and they had enough land to live off of. So, yeah, I think the next question is, with that ending that was closed and open at the same time, was okay, how are they gonna get back? Retrieve the rest of the family, the Abbott family. Because they're all safe, they're all alive, but it's gonna be quite a trek for them to get to that island. If they don't get kicked out for, accidentally bringing one of those things onto the island, which I don't blame them for.
That's probably gonna be the first thing they're gonna address.
Yeah, it's like, you know what? You kind of messed up this really nice thing we had going here.
We had going on.
You gotta go. But I'm sure, all those nuance details and the nuance of it all, it'll get figured out if there's a third film, which, once again, I am perfectly happy with there not being a third film or continuation to this. If there is, I have high hopes for it, because clearly...
It's like, we don't want it, but we wouldn't mind.
Exactly.
Because we're curious.
Yeah, exactly. And keep it just as tight as the second one and the first one. 90 minutes. Very, very good, soft spot for film runtime, especially with a story this simple.
But the thing is that if you do make a third one, leave it at that.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan at the idea of having another director deal with a spinoff, which is what I think is happening. I don't know if Krasinski is particularly motivated to continue this. I'm sure that he has interest in other projects, and I wish him the best, because clearly he's proven himself to be quite a quite a commendable director and screenwriter.
Mm-hmm.
So good for you, Jim from The Office. Good for you.
I mean, we shall see, because also the tea. Because, you know, the first movie was, the script originally wasn't his, and then he came on board, and then for the second film, the original 2 writers only got character credits.
Oh, okay.
So we'll see what happens. Yeah, that was a little sad to see.
Industry
Because writers were expendable in Hollywood, apparently. But it was sad. So they only got character by credits, not even story by credits, which is what they got in the first one. So I think they got co-writing credits with Krasinski and story by, and here they only got character by. So it also depends on what Krasinski wants to do with it and what's going to happen, because I don't know what happened in the background, like with contracts and everything. So it will also depend on that. But overall, I think he handled it well. I think the second film was a good follow-up. It's not better than the first one, but I wouldn't go and say that it's below the first one either. I think it's a good. They're hanging there.
Yeah, they definitely they complement each other really, really, really well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, not the first one isn't better than the second one, nor vice versa. They do have their similarities and they do have their differences. So if you have a preference for one, totally understandable. I like both equally. Yeah. I think they're really. And it would be such a good double feature. To, like, when you want to have a horror night.
Oh, definitely. And a lot of people will say that they prefer the first one over the second one. I like both. Ileana likes both. So I think we can leave you at watch the film and form your own opinion. And let us know.
Let us know in the comments respectfully. Where can they find you, Miss Josie Marie?
You can find me at the Josie Marie at Twitter and Letterboxd, and you can find Film Posers at Film Posers basically everywhere.
And you can find me at Captain Melendez on Twitter and Instagram, and you can absolutely, for free, subscribe to Full Circle Network here on YouTube.
Yes.
And stay updated. We are covering La Leaf. We're covering Los Angeles Latino International Film Festival.
Yes.
We just uploaded an amazing interview that I'm super psyched about with Cristian Mercado Figueroa, the director of the animated short film winner at South by Southwest 2021 Film Festival, Nuevo Rico. Wow, that was a mouthful. Yes. So yeah, you can also follow us at Full Circle Cine on Twitter and Instagram, and you can also follow us on Facebook. And stay up to date with all of our news and our written reviews. We have lovely content and coverage available over on fullcirclecinema.com. And I think that's all the shameless plugging that we shall be doing today. And
plug away.
Filmme Talk is available now if you're listening to us on YouTube, or if you're listening to us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, or available on podcasting platforms now. So I'm really excited about that. You can listen to us on your drive to wherever, your road trips, and just hear us ramble like I'm doing right now. Anyways, be sure to stay updated and subscribed as usual, and we hope you have a good one. Bye.
Bye.
Happy Pride Month.